somewhere, I'm just like more like the finance minister, Mr. Arun Jait, former finance minister, because generally I believe in extempore. But anyhow, I try to put together, and whatever I'm today, of course, in terms of the teaching career, substantial portion of it, of course, all my dedications for all my programs, those who follow me will always know, it'll be for Venki and Anshu. But for a change, this program, I think I must give it to one and only Mr. Shokumar. So, in fact, I can very proudly and happily say, at the time when he took cost accounting, I also have taken cost accounting. And so that's the only word. I don't think anywhere we can match or anywhere this thing. I can only proudly say, in that era, I also taken. So that could be possibly one of the reasons why I was offered, but this particular topic of future of management accounting. Anyhow, of course, you will be very, very happy with my last 2 slides. Because in many forums, he has introduced me in any institute programs at the beginning of my career to really moderate many tax programs. In fact, he was the one who suggested for taking some additional batches, so many things. When I think a lot of things we can talk about. I think the entire 20 minutes will be attributed to him. If we go on talking about it, and 20 minutes may not be sufficient. Now, this is something which is the greatest shortcoming of the human race, is our inability to understand the exponential function. Maybe sometimes when you go to any mutual fund program, that's where we might sometimes, people ask the question, if you have 10,000 rupees per month, you are investing for a period of 30 years in SIP, they will ask you the question, how much will you get? And the standard question, 10,000 rupees per month for the next 30 years. How much? 10,000 per month for 30 years. How much you will get at the end of the 30 years? Forget about the implicit IRR and all, we'll leave it. So a typical well-managed mutual fund, how much do you think they will be in a position to get? So a guesswork, 1 crore 20. So you are supposed to get around 3.2 crores. Supposing the same thing, if you add 10% every year, instead of 10,000 in the first year, you start doing 11,000 from the second year and so on. Same calculation, how much you will get after 30 years? So a guesswork. See, I don't run any mutual fund. So let me make it very clear. So, and mutual fund investment subject to market risk. So, in fact, I used to wonder, if you listened to that advertisement earlier, mutual fund investment subject to market risk, mutual fund investment subject to market risk. I used to wonder why there is a gap. When I was just trying to do a research, not through Bing and all, or not through Copilot and all, at that point of time, we had different options. The SEBI dictated your advertisement has to be minimum 8 seconds, not 3 seconds. Earlier it was 3 seconds. Mutual fund is subject to markets. That's why mutual fund investment subject to markets, the content is same. But how much do you think? So it is supposed to be around 8.2 crores if you have a 10,000 step up. Now suppose if you walk stepwise, linearly, 30 steps, how much area you will cover? Linearly, if you just do a step like this, 30 steps. So, guesswork, 30 steps. I think it's a wrong step actually. So, you may cover 30 meters, right? If you do the same thing exponentially, instead of linear, exponentially if you do it, that is first 30, then 60, then 120. Likewise, if you cover the same 30 steps exponentially, you make a guesswork. Guess la madam, jolly pannunga. Guess lo oru periya advantage enna nama enna pannalam. 1 billion meters. Idan actually Excel போட்டு check வேற பண்ண நானு. Yeah. 30, 60, 120, 240, 480. Likewise, if you just put 30 times, the last cell, it comes to 1.1. I mean, that's how it goes. You can just, I tested before coming to the session. But what is that? 1 billion meters means what? What is the area? Guesswork தான் இதுவும். ஸோ உலகம் இருந்த பெருமாள் அப்படியே பெருமாளை வந்து ஒரு 3 அடி அளக்கும் போது 3வது அடி, இன்ஃபேக்ட் தட் இஸ் நாட் மெஷரபிள். Most of us might guess, worst or best guess we may do is that 25 times of the planet. But actually, it is actually immeasurable. Just like the Google, the name comes, it's what. So that is what something where we will always be not in a position to linear, yes, exponential change. Our mind is not capable of adjusting to that. It is not possible at all. It's very difficult because we are only going by the experience. That is what there is a general feeling that the current trend, current change which is happening will be like that. It will be like a tsunami or exponential. So that is the context in which you have to look at these things. So now let's take, if this particular chart resembles, our perception, the rate of change. Let's take, if this particular chart resembles RCB, I'm not responsible. What we see, life is so very good. Exponential goes, survive factor. Didn't unexpected ஜெயிச்சிட்டாங்க. So assuming for a moment they win the IPL. Wow, I did not expect this. I think Virat Kohli is actually. So this is how generally, our perception towards the rate of change. Now we are, as a human being, you must understand, we are not equipped to handle an exponential change. That's what you must understand. Now this is something where, on the basis of historical data, the computing power at the same rate has doubled every 2 years. And this is most unlikely to change. And what could be the impact of it? Now this will be a very shocking one. $1,000 computer. So we'll be having a computer power in 10 years time, our brain it will achieve. And now, in less than 2 years, it doubles. Now just do again the same compounding. In about 30, 40 years, just see, will the $1,000 a machine can possess the power of the entire global population. நம்ம ஒரு மூலையை வச்சு ரொம்ப அஜய் சேத்தியாவோட 30 minutes எனக்கு பயமாக இருந்தது ஆக்சுவலாக. Just visualize for a moment when you're going to have this, and all this are going to be connected through IoT and so many things we are talking about, all these interconnected devices. Just visualize for a moment what could be the way in which the world could change. Now this is what is the most disrupting, in my view, the most disrupting technology is what we are having. Take one disruption map. I will just want to take a few things here. So due to COVID, there was a disruption. Assuming for a moment you in your office try to map or put this disruption map. We'll take just one or two of them. So let's look at the culture. When you are in remote, you work always 24/7, 365. Now, if you take from the real estate point of view, the office space went down, residential. And one very important disruption everywhere. In fact, day before yesterday, Bangalore branch called me. Last 3-4 years, they were calling me, and one condition I putting them, if it is going to be online, definitely I'm not coming. Because from morning 7 to 2, 8 hours sitting the system for 3 days, and then go to the office and sitting the system for another 7 hours. Definitely, there was an element of fatigue for me. For them, for student, there is no problem because they can switch off the video, and of course, we don't know whether they're attending or also. So I don't ask them to switch on their video and all, because best actually. But this time I asked them, they called, "Hello sir, I know about you. You will not come if it is online classes, I know. So it is only physical classes, sir. We are attempting." Now, my experience in the classes is that, including my office, that the people don't want to come and commit themselves for 2 to 3 hours continuously period of 4 months. First question I was like, "Sir, recording unda." No, he wants to take the classes at his own time, at his own pace, even if it is online. That is the status we are in. That's the kind of disruption we are talking about. In fact, even I know that I have taken classes at Prime Academy when we had an online class are also there. But maybe we try to get into the technology much ahead of time. But just look at the way in which the disruption happens. Now, so what are those disruptions? So we are talking about AI, machine learning, automation, big data. So now I think all of us will factually agree that AI has definitely passed the test of a good enough threshold. There's no doubt about it. Let's look at, forget about all these things. Do you think that me or my office would have done this? It's only Office 365. So this, or now where it picked up the previous one. So you will find this picture I didn't insert at all. It picked up one of the words, the brain of the entire global population, all the stuff. It automatically suggested one of these pictures. That is the power of machine learning and artificial. We talk about. I did not do this. This picture, at least, I did not do it. Of course, let's look at this one. When the moment the artificial intelligence part of it. Now, this picture itself is something which is Office 365's automatic suggestion. So, if you just in the designer report, you get plenty of options. Now, that is the kind of. And it's 7 years, 3 lakh times is what it's all about. In fact, so now this is something where we have to understand before where we see the future. I put a small question mark on the future of management accounting, primarily because of the fact some of them are already there. So therefore, I won't say in strict sense the future of management accounting. So what I find as a trend, or I think there are plenty of these things are there, but what I find are, so these 7 factors or 7 things is what I, because of course there are a lot of things are there, we agree and disagree, we can add things, but these are 7 trends which I'm trying to look at. Now, the first one which I found is very interesting was the expansion from a product to channel and the customer profitability analysis. Now, how do we view the offering today? So we don't view any product. So now the suppliers view more as a commodity as in the product. Take the case of very classic case of what is the telecom companies are doing now. Now, what is the biggest challenge for telecom companies? Their biggest challenge after the Jio entered. So they made a penetrative pricing. In fact, I remember near to my office, there will be a huge queue from the RK Salai, that place, to till my house. Ration Jio free, 6 months free. Now that is how they started, and now they virtually eliminated most of them, barring 3 operators are there. One of them we don't know how long they will exist or not, because we always keep getting some messages, some funding is coming and all those stuff. But what is the way in which they are trying to now increase the ARPU? So what is the way in which they are trying to increase the average revenue per user? So whenever I just try to pay the bill for my, say I'm a very, very dedicated customer for Vodafone Idea. I'm staying with Vodafone Idea only because I don't want to leave them when they are in trouble. There is no reason for it. நீங்கள் எப்படி இருக்கும் அப்படின்னா, என் ஒய்ஃப் வந்து என் பக்கத்தில் நின்று கால் பண்ணுவாங்க. ஆக்சுவலாக நீங்கள் தொடர்புகளை நினைக்க தொடர்புகளும் எல்லையிலே இல்லை. டே நாங்கள் 2 பேரும் நேராக நிற்கிறோம் ஆக்சுவலாக என்ன. ஸோ ஒய்ஃப் வேறு பயங்கரமாக சண்டையெல்லாம் போடுவாங்க. ஆக்சுவலாக எப்போ பாரு உன் ஃபோன் பிஸியாகவே இருக்குது அப்படின்ட்டு. நீ ஒன்று பண்ணி என் முன்னாடி இருந்து நீ ஃபோன் அடித்த பிஸி பார்த்தல ஃபோன், நீ எதுவும் பிஸி மோட்டில் வச்சுருக்கியா? இல்லை நெட்வொர்க்கே அப்படி தான் ஆக்சுவலாக. So, but whereas my brothers and all, they used to have Airtel. நீலாம் வோடஃபோன் Airtel. அது ஒன்று பார்த்தா ஜங்கலில் பயங்கரமாக அடுக்குன்னு நினைக்கிறேன் ஆக்சுவலாக. வீட்டுக்குள்ளே பார்த்தா பிரச்சனை இல்லை ஆக்சுவலாக. பட் ஆல் தீஸ் பீப்புள் have found one mechanism. Now, இப்போ நான் ஒரு பேமெண்ட் வோடஃபோனுக்கு போகும்போது, வாட் இஸ் தட் saying? If you upgrade to the next plan, Netflix, Hotstar, ஒரு 27 ஓடிபி இவ்வளோ இருக்கானே எனக்கு முதல்ல ஓடிடி அவ்வளோ ஃபஸ்ட்டு எங்கள் வீட்டில் டிவி எனக்கு ரூமில் டிவியே கிடையாது இப்போ. ஸோ மேபி he thought he will do it in any device. So he says if you go for all this OTT, most of them may not even watch. 799. So now, how this became possible? So this increase in the average revenue is one of the contributions, and that is what typically the team, the telecommunications management accountant, has worked on the way in which they had worked. The marketing, I think, should find the ways in which you have to increase the average revenue per user. Take the case of a Zomato. Now, what was their initial thought process? You just increase your number of people. Today, why Zomato is at lifetime high? Is there any reason why Zomato shares have now gone to lifetime high? Anyone? I don't want any of this thing. Answer. But logical financial answer. Yes, they are now EBITDA positive. Earlier, they were only burning cash. Earlier, they were only focusing on number of subscribers, but now we have moved from that proposition to make the profit. Take the case of Policy Bazaar, PB Inflation, you can just see the price. Now you just try to go, when you would just try to order in Swiggy, Swiggy just gives one small message, 1 month, only 9 rupees. You will get blah, 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 so many offers. But number 9 rupees and a pot actually. Again, when you just try to put it across, apply this code, missed me, missed that restaurant. அடுத்துக்கு பார்த்தா நம்ம சாய் கிங்ஸில் அதை போடும்போது பார்த்தா அந்த டீ எப்படி கரெக்டாக பார்த்தா 158 rupees இந்த டீ. ஆனால் யூ கேன் அப்ளை திஸ் ஒன்லி வென் யூ பை ஃபார் 159 or more. Now you will never find any of the dishes available for 1 rupee. So then what we are trying to do is we will just try to buy Chai Kings na definitely வந்து அந்த மினி சமோசா சூப்பராக இருக்கும் ஆக்சுவலாக. So we will not have the temptation to put 1, and now you just put 2, 3, and then you have entered into 300 and put miss you. I saved 80 rupees. Day நீ 158ல முடிக்க விட்டு 238க்கு வந்திருக்கோம். Now how this became possible? You just think somebody is behind it, right? And that is what today the management accounting is what is expected to assess the marketing and sales function to just get into the value proposition. That is what is expected as a role. So we all know about many of these things. Strategy map, which I also sold, description map, we all shows a balanced scorecard. So one thing, the activity-based costing, I think if some of you have heard or attended Mr. Shivkumar's class, or if you have interacted with him, what is the traditional costing method for absorption of overheads? Traditional method. Traditional, first method when we studied as an intermediate students. What is the one very popular equation in your overheads chapter? So jolly, general. ஏதோ ஒன்று ரொம்ப பழசந்தான் இருக்கக்கூடாது. இது இந்த சாப்டர்லாம் நம்ம ஞாபகம் இருக்கணும் நார்மலாக. பாப்புலர் மெத்தட் ஆஃப் ரெக்கவரிங் ஓவர் ஹெட்ஸ். ஆமாம் இல்லையா? வால்யூம் பேஸ்ட் ஹிண்ட். மெஷின் அவர் ரேட் ஆர் லேபர் அவர் ரேட் டிபெண்டிங் அப்பான் விச் அஸ்யூம்ஸ் அ வால்யூம், ரைட்? மெஷின் அவர் ரேட் டிவைட் தி டோட்டல் ஓவர் ஹெட்ஸ் பை த நம்பர் ஆஃப் மிஷினர்ஸ், blah blah blah. Kaplan in 1989 came out with a different concept called activity-based costing. Shivkumar sir used to give a very, very simple, beautiful example for activity-based costing, for understanding of activity-based costing. So let's assume me, Patapi and Vijay Kumar, three of us go to, say, Saranabhan, of course. Saranabhan போவாங்களான்னு தெரியல, but நாங்கள் போகிறோம்னு வச்சுப்போம். The total bill comes to 1,200. Generally, we don't share. One of us will bear, but just for the discussion purposes, let's assume we try to share. What is the traditional method once you how to share this? 1,200 by 3, each one of us had to put 400. But however, if you just look at the breakup for the bill for 1,200, 1 masala dosa, 3 coffees, 1 pongal. So coffee is 1 consumed by all the 3. Masala dosa, let's assume consumed by me. Pongal is assumed consumed by Patabi. 3 coffees is only thing which only 1 coffee is consumed by Vijay. If you have to share, what is the correct method? If you have to share the bills, assume that you are sharing. Masala dosa, I only took. I alone has to bear it. Coffee, all the 3 of us took, I should bear it. So other one consumed by Pandavi, you alone should take. So this Shivakumar sir used to explain. This Pongal, coffee and all are cost drivers, activity-based costing. Can you just imagine for a Saranubon bill which are activity-based costing based over? And comparing with machine hour rate, total bill by number of people, machine hour rate. If you go by that. Now, so therefore, it's a one simple way of explaining a very, very simple concept. Now, so you have so many techniques available here, so many methodologies available here, but so what is very important is the integration all of things. So typically what the modern management accountant is expected to perform is an integration of all these things so that you gain some insights and the value. Now this is a very interesting one, the predictive analytics. Now March 2023, what is March 2023's significance? It's a recent report globally. What is March 2023? Officially March 2023 was recorded as the hottest year of the globe, 23. I'm not talking about 2024, not yet come to an end. So March 2023 was heralded as the hottest summer in anywhere in the world. Because you know, when I went to Paris, that was the most hottest day. Now using this predictive analytics, surely now we have already seen, all of us are on the roads. You know what is the weather here. It just definitely in my feeling is that this March looks like hotter than March 2024. If March is going to be like this, then we can easily predict what's going to be there the next 2 months. Of course, you have a lot of tools and everything to forecast the future on the basis, and if this is going to go up, the heat is going to be much more. Now, how a management accountant can help visualize? Now, if the summer is going to be hot, what if you are working in a Whirlpool or if you are working in Voltas as a management accountant? What next you can do is the next 2-3 period demand is definitely going to be much bigger than the earlier because of the prevailing weather condition. We talk about an El Nino factor and other things. So therefore, you can use this predictive analytic data which will help in both the marketing and also in terms of the cost. For example, given the global conditions, other things. So using a predictive analysis, you will be in a position to roughly estimate about what could be the petrol price. And just take the reverse. In India, we know that elections are going to be there till June. Until such time, will the petrol prices go up? The answer is no. On the contrary, the petrol prices will be only cut. So therefore, you can use the technology, and if you are somebody dependent on petrol, for example, a tire company, other things, you know for sure, just before the election days are going to be announced, whichever government is going to be there, but they will definitely use a mechanism to reduce the petrol prices, which is going to have an impact on middle cost. So therefore, there is a technology used to predictive analysis. Thereby, you can plan your cost or you can plan your marketing. Of course, since we have a specific session including my friends, But this is we have talked about. In fact, the whole session is going to be on that. We also talked about what is the power of it. So therefore, I'll just skip this slide. So this, of course, we talk about lean management, activity-based costing. We also talked about mission hour rate, but always we as a professionals always tend to disagree. So what method used is always going to be a challenge one. But what today you have an advantage, apart from preparing for a different methodology for different end users. And you also can employ softwares like Fathom. In fact, I had an opportunity to go through that, which not only takes into account the normal performance report, it also factors the non-factors like your KPIs and KRS and other things are built by the software. And this is what a management accountant is now expected to do, and for which we also have a technology. And the one which is the most important, as I was talking about, so there is a increasing trend to convert even a secondary function into a profit centers. For example, most of you are attending the program. Now, if your office is sponsoring this program, definitely the one question is, what is that the return on this investment? Assuming that I don't know what is the cost. Let's assume this cost of this program is 10,000. You're spending 1 day here. And apart from learning from this, you are also going to some of your work today is not going to be done. But what is the company in turn has got? What is the return on investment of this cost? And this is how the focus has shifted. So earlier, the accounting or your pure R&D functions or your HR functions, which are considered to be pure cost centers, today there is an expectation to look them as a profit center and then subsequently look at it as an investment center. Like many companies which were initially established more as a back-end support for global enterprises, subsequently they themselves become profit centers, right? So first of all, maybe some companies might be, I know one of my client, so it's an UK-based company where they were doing only accounting for the entire global accounting was outsourced to them. That's the starting point. Then initially it was only a cost center. Today that company does this accounting functions for many companies. So that means they moved into a profit center. And of course, once you move as a profit center, we also have to find out the investment center. So now the management accounting has to now support the traditional cost center be managed as a business, which is a very important challenge. Now you can ask this question. Sir, you talked about here, you talked about all those things, there is a return on human capital. So by attending your session for the last 20 minutes, what will you get? What will I get? So that's going to be my last 2 slides. So this is based on, because this is something where the behavioral cost funding, because most of the people in my office, I say that you have to record the timesheet. The first question my interns and employees ask the question, sir, உங்களோட தான் இருக்கேன் நான் காத்தாலேருந்து ராத்திரி நீங்கள் போகிறவர் தான் கிளம்புறேன் ஆக்சுவலாக நீங்கள் தான் ஒர்க்கு கொடுக்குறீங்க. Why should I record? So there is always a resistance. In fact, I just tried to show him through the timesheet. Just look, these are the unbilled revenue, these are all these things. But however, many of my interns and employees, their first feeling is that if you ask them to fill a timesheet, they always feel that we are not trusting them. So therefore, the management accountant has to really manage this behavioral change to share the data. But I'm not going to discuss it because I just want, as I promised you. So what is something I'm going to give it to you for investing the time in terms of the financial aspect of it. Of course, it's not possible for you to do it now because these things are already over. But in the next financial year, I think you can actively consider this particular point. I'm just going to have 2 recent buybacks. So that is one thing which I promise that I will give some return on investment for you, apart from whatever little we spoke about on the management costing side of it. So some of you be aware of, because this is something, this is entirely dedicated to him because he always used to introduce anywhere to anybody. Shivakumar sir always used to introduce me as, hey, legend or tax la adimbar. Whether I am legend or not, I don't know. He was so many, that's why So therefore, I think the last two slides, for two reasons. One is the return on capital talked about, and two, so we also talked about my guru. I think that is something which has a dedication. Two things are combined here. Now, you must be aware of, earlier this buyback tax was introduced only for unlisted companies. Basically, because if you are a Singapore resident, because there is no need to pay capital gains tax in India. Of course, Mauritius, Singapore, a couple of other destinations are there. So most of the private limited unlisted companies, instead of trying to declare dividends and then pay tax, so they went for an option of going for a buyback of shares, thereby avoiding the tax. So there is no capital gains tax there, and in India, since it is not subject to tax, so therefore we had a twin advantage. So therefore, the scope of this buyback has been now extended to listed companies also. So from the shareholders' point of view, it's exempt from tax, and the company is going to pay a 20% tax. Now we are assuming, I'm just trying to take you as somebody who is as a retail investor only. So let's analyze two issues of recent times. One is one of the very top in the world in terms of the software company, the TCS. The other one, of course, in the automobiles, auto sector, which is Bajaj Auto. Two very, very prominent buybacks. So announced on 11th October 2023, I'll ignore that. We'll take 24th November 2023, which is the record date. I mean the eligible date is a record date. On that date, the price was 3,453. So 3,453 is the price of TCS on 24th of November, which is a record date. Their buyback period is from 1st December to 14th December. The buyback price is 4,150. Now, if you are wondering as to why I gave the 15th December 2023 price of 3,800, because buyback got closed on 14th, I'm presuming that you will exit on 15th of December. I'm just assuming, just for the sake of simplicity. So that means your investment horizon is from 24th November to 15th. How many days? From 24th November to 15th December. The whole transaction date. How many days? So you have 15 plus 6 or 7, take 21 to 22 days. So 3,453, 4,150, always bear in mind, if you are a retail investor, the acceptance ratios always will be higher. And a retail investor is one whose investment is 2 lakhs or less. So therefore, if you want to go this beyond 2 lakhs, apart from you, you should also make use of your family members. So only thing is that I had a very interesting conversation with one of my student friends. So he was saying that actually joint families are actually. Yeah, wife. So how we can the shock line எனக்கு வெளில வரதே கஷ்டம். எங்க வீட்ல மொத்தம் 13 பேர் நாங்க மொத்தம். யார் எப்போ வரா எப்போ போறானே தெரியவே தெரியாது. ஒரு நாள் டெய்லி சாப்பிடனாலே அது ஒரு மாதிரி டெய்லி ஒரு விருந்து சமைக்கிற மாதிரி தான் இருக்கும் அப்படியே ஆக்சுவலா. ஸோ சப்போஸ் குக்கு வரலன்னா அன்றைக்கி போகிறோம். யார் அங்கே சமையல் போட்டனாலும் ஒரு பெரிய ஒரு கல்யாணம் மினி ஃபங்க்ஷன் பண்ணுற மாதிரி இருக்கும். திடீர்னு அப்படி இருக்கும். ஸோ தேர்ஃபோர் ஐ வில் அஸ்யூமிங் டேக் ஐம் நாட் வாண்ட் டு டேக் தி எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஆஃப் 13. Let's assume there are 4 or 5 family members are there. 5 into 2, you can go up to 10 lakhs. But that's what you must always bear in mind. So now, if somebody has done this, so I have taken 55 shares. You can also slightly go more, but I've just taken 55 shares because that is something on the base of my own case. Therefore, I've just taken this is not something. The 55 shares is what I've invested, but only thing I've not exited. So 24th November 2003, 3,450. So 1,89,750. Now you will get an email from their agents or share transfer agents. You will be told that you will get an entitlement only of 9. So I got a mail that is 9. But don't only surrender that 9. Give the entire 55 shares. Because not everybody is going to go for buyback for a couple of reasons. One, they don't know. Another thing is that possibly the apps like Angel One, they don't give that online facility. You have to speak to them. There are a lot of processes there, which will be very confusing for many people. So therefore, if you surrender the entire 55, even though your entitlement is 9, you surrender the entire 55, I got 19 shares bought back. So just look at 55 and 19 as against 9. the acceptance ratio is close to 24-25%. There are 19 shares at buybackers of 4,150. So that would have cost 78,850. And now, taking into account the proportion cost of 19 shares, so that 13,300 is my tax-free income for that small period. Assuming I've exited the remaining shares, remaining 36 shares, I already given you on 15th December 2023, right? So 136,800 is what is going to, as I said, that 124,200 is a proportion consideration we've taken. Now that 10,634, I've factored a tax of 15% plus 4% cess. So effectively that's going to be 84.1%, 10,634. So that 189,750 is my investment, 23,934 is my income. So that 12.61%, please understand that is not my yearly return. Today we just talked about that 12.6% is a return for 21 days. You just take this for 1 month for the sake of simplicity. If you multiply 12, you can make your own mathematics. Today we talked about a SIP at 12% for 30 years, what is its power? Here we are talking about, and that assumes a return of 12% per annum. We are talking about 12.61% for a period of 21 days, and this assuming that we have taken on the record date. Of course, the announcement came on 11th of October, and before the announcement, the predictive analysis. How you can make a predictive analysis we talked about today. Just look at the last 5 years, what has actually happened. You all know that the Companies Act does not allow you to make a buyback. The gap between the two buybacks is 1 year. You just find out whether Infosys or TCS, have they ever missed buyback in recent times. Just go and watch. It doesn't need a big rocket science because we talked about their use to technology. You don't have to win a technology. What you have to find out, when was the last Infosys buyback and when they are likely to do it and what is their route. So the next one was a very interesting one because the Bajaj Auto is one of the very prominent players in the auto segment. Again, when they announced on 8th January, I just want to make a quick comparison. 8th January, they made an announcement to 7,000. But the record date is 20th February, it was 8,000. And in fact, a week before that, he came in CNBC. So he said, we know our policy is anything cash above 15,000 crores, we have distributed. That policy we are already there. So therefore, he made an announcement in CNBC itself that one way we are considering rewarding the shareholders, because already is a stated policy of more than 15,000 crores we will distribute. But we are considering buyback as a mechanism subject to the board approval. Just find out when, I'm not taking about that date also. You take this, even if you want to take this, you take this one. So 28th February 8,000, the buyback was 10,000. On the day of announcement, the difference between the buyback price and the offer price is 43%. The difference is 43% is the difference between the buyback price and the price on that date. But I am just taking only 8,000. On 15th of March, 8,350. Why 15th of March? This buyback ran from 16th to 13th March. Eligible date is 28th. So we are roughly talking about 15, 16 days. So 17 days is what we are talking about. Now, so 25 shares at 8,000, 2 lakhs. So again, if you take this also, you would have got in an email that the acceptance ratio is at 7 shares for every 27 shares. So therefore, you have to virtually surrender everything to take the best advantage of it. So 6 shares on 14th of March, it was there in my bank account, 60,000 rupees was already there. So just make a similar calculation. And for a period of 17 days, we are talking about close to 9% for a period of 17 days. Now, of course, sitting in a position, you can ask the question. I think you have taken up 2 issues, which gave a return. What is the guarantee? What if the prices have fallen? Fantastic question. And both these stocks are in F&O segment. Both these stocks are in futures and options. Why I should take this topic? Once again, I would like to bring it because at that point of time, I was taking FM, costing, tax, and institute for the first time introduced in the syllabus derivatives and forex. I don't know how to finish the portions, and this is something new to everybody. So when I was speaking to Mr. Shivakumar, hey, Nikora brother, derivatives don't worry. I think this is something which I want to dedicate him because subsequently he is the one who offered and made a brilliant class. I was all sitting in the class just to understand about the basics. And today when you just try to actually use, these two are derivative stocks. They both are in F&O segment. What you have to do is, you have to only take a deep put option for the month of March in this particular case, whereas in the case of a TDS, take a put option in December put option you take, and your downsides is automatically protected. And now, just for a moment, visualize. This is I'm talking about only for a period of 70 days. Just for the sake of simplicity, take it as 15 days. If you just convert this, we are talking about around 17-18%. This is something which I feel, when you talk about return on investment, return on capital, I hope the last 10 minutes has covered your return on investment for this program out of my this things, apart from the many knowledge you are going to take. So quick, these things, take a put option to protect your risk. Just check whether it is tender route or market route. If it is market route, don't go for it. Only if it is a tender route, you should go. And you must always remember, you should tender all the shares. Don't tender the shares which comes in your email. That's not going to help your case. For this, I really take this opportunity to thank very particularly Patabi for giving this opportunity. Why it's as an opportunity I feel? Because this particular topic is R. Shivakumar memo lecture. What else as a student of him? What pride you want more than this? So therefore, I think more than anything else, that is one reason why I came for it, and I'm extremely thankful all for a patient hearing. Like, they didn't go silent. I think normal series of but anyhow, thank you for your patient hearing and hope that you had enjoyed this program.